Number 1. Peroneal Nerve. One clean kick to the outside of the thigh, the leg buckles, the fighter drops. No warning, no buildup, just collapse. 1 second standing, the next second on the ground wondering what happened. The peroneal nerve wraps around the head of the fibula, the small bone on the outside of your lower thigh, just above the knee. It sits so close to the surface that a sharp impact compresses it directly against bone. When that happens, the nerve short circuits. The muscles that hold your leg straight and keep your foot stable just stop working. The leg has no idea it's supposed to be holding you up. The body's response is instant. The knee folds inward, weight shifts, balance disappears. Most people grab for something, anything, on the way down. Their brain hasn't caught up yet. The pain comes after. First the leg fails, then the shock hits. That order matters, because by the time they feel it, they're already falling. Here's the catch. Miss by 2 inches in any direction, and all you've done is bruise muscle. The thigh is a big target. The nerve window is small. It needs a fast, whipping impact. A round kick, a driven knee, or a sharp shin check. Slow pressure does nothing. You could push on the spot all day and get zero response, but a clean, snapping strike at the right angle sends a lightning bolt down the leg into the foot. There's a reason this ends fights on the biggest stages in combat sports. Countless MMA and kickboxing bouts have been stopped because of this exact nerve. Not a concussion, not a broken bone. A nerve the width of a pencil shutting down an entire leg. A person who loses their legs loses everything. Movement, power, defense, can't push off, can't pivot, can't even stand up straight. The fight isn't paused, it's over. Number 2. Mandibular Angle. Picture someone's head snapping sideways, not from a huge punch, from a thumb pressed into a tiny spot behind the corner of the jaw, right below the ear. That's the mandibular angle. The bone is thin here. Right beneath the surface, branches of the trigeminal nerve fan out, one of the most pain-reactive nerve systems in the entire skull. There's almost nothing protecting it. No thick muscle, no fat, just skin over bone over nerve. When this spot takes pressure, a knuckle driven upward, a short hook landing perfectly, even a focused thumb dig in a clinch. The pain is sharp and directional, radiates up into the face and along the jawline, a hot electric spike out of nowhere. But the pain isn't the important part. The reflex is. The head whips away, the neck rotates, the chin lifts and turns. This isn't a choice. It's the body pulling away from a signal it cannot ignore. Where the head goes, the spine follows. Where the spine goes, the body follows. One moment of involuntary head movement exposes the back of the neck, breaks posture, opens angles that didn't exist a second ago. But this only works with precise placement. Half an inch forward and you're pressing jawbone. Half an inch back and you're on neck muscle. Neither does anything. The sweet spot is small, sharp, and unforgiving if you miss it. Land it clean though, and the head turns like someone yanked it on a string. The opponent doesn't decide to move. The body moves without permission, and in any grappling exchange, that involuntary rotation is worth more than raw strength could ever provide. Number 3. Radial Nerve. He's got a fistful of collar, knuckles white, pulling you in close. Then something hits the outside of his forearm. Short, sharp, nothing dramatic. And the hand just falls open. Fingers spread. Grip. Gone. He didn't let go. The hand stopped listening. The radial nerve travels along the outer edge of the forearm, between the elbow and the wrist. It controls wrist extension and the ability to keep fingers closed under tension. When it gets hit with a sharp, focused impact, a hammer fist dropping onto the forearm, the point of an elbow grinding across it, a quick downward chop, the nerve overloads and the hand loses function. Not permanently, not even for long, maybe 1 or 2 seconds. But 1 or 2 seconds with an open hand in a fight is a lifetime. A choke breaks because the fingers can't maintain pressure. A collar tie falls apart. A grabbed wrist comes free. A weapon slips loose. The brain is still sending the signal to squeeze. The nerve isn't delivering it. The failure condition is angle. The nerve sits in a specific groove along the radius bone. Hit the flat of the forearm and you'll cause pain, but no nerve disruption. Hit the meaty inside and you've missed entirely. The target is a narrow strip on the outer edge, and the impact needs to be perpendicular, straight into the groove, not sliding across it. Forget power. This is a placement game. A perfectly aimed tap does more than a wild smash 2 inches off. Clean contact on the groove, and the hand betrays its owner. Miss the groove. Nothing. No pain response. No finger spread. Just a bruised forearm and a wasted opportunity. Number 4. Hypoglossal Nerve. This one doesn't involve a strike at all. No kick. No punch. Just upward pressure into the soft tissue beneath the chin, angled toward where the jaw meets the ear. The hypoglossal nerve runs along the inner edge of the jawbone. It controls muscles in the tongue and throat. When firm, focused pressure pushes up into this pocket, 2 things happen at once. Sharp, stabbing pain radiates through the floor of the mouth, and the chin rises involuntarily. The neck extends, the head tilts back. This isn't a flinch, it's hardwired. The nerve sends a signal the body reads as a threat to the airway, and the head lifts to protect it. Posture breaks backward, the spine straightens, and suddenly they can't drive forward or generate any downward pressure. Wait, before someone hits you in real life, hit subscribe. In a clinch, this changes everything. Someone grinding you against a wall, crushing down on your neck. They suddenly arch backward and lose all forward pressure. The mechanical advantage flips, all because a nerve under the jawline forced the head up and the body to follow. But light pressure does absolutely nothing. A gentle push under the chin is just annoying. The activation threshold requires deliberate, firm, upward force, a thumb drive or a knuckle press. Anything unfocused spreads across too much tissue, and the reflex never fires. The difference between triggering it and wasting effort is about 1 inch of targeting and the commitment to press through. Number 5. Ulnar Nerve. Everyone already knows this nerve. They just know it by a different name. The funny bone, that electric jolt when you bang your elbow on a door frame, the one that makes your ring finger and pinky go numb. That's the ulnar nerve getting compressed in the cubital tunnel, a shallow groove behind the inner elbow with almost zero protection. Now imagine that same feeling, but on purpose, harder, and at the worst possible moment. In the middle of a grip, in the middle of a hold, hand working at full capacity, and suddenly the power cuts out. A short strike, an elbow point, a hammer fist, a sharp knuckle driven into the groove, sends that electric shock through the forearm into the hand. The ring finger and pinky lose strength immediately. Those two fingers handle roughly half of total grip force. When they drop out, the hand can't hold anything under tension. Someone squeezing your throat suddenly can't maintain pressure. A wrist grab weakens. A weapon gets loose. Not because of pain, because the muscles physically aren't receiving the signal to contract. The limitation is size. The cubital tunnel is narrow. A wild swing to the general elbow area might graze it, might not. And slow pressure doesn't activate the response the same way. The nerve needs quick, sharp compression, impact, not grinding. That's what separates this from theory. In theory, every elbow strike could hit it. In reality, you need to find a groove the width of a fingertip on a moving target. Lands clean. Undeniable. Lands off. You've just hit an elbow. No shock, no grip loss, nothing. The margin is millimeters. That's every nerve target on this list. Precision is the price of admission. Number 6. Tibial nerve. Tight space, bodies pressed together, no room for a kick, no room for a real punch, just feet, knees, and whatever you can reach below the waist. That's where this one lives. The tibial nerve runs down the back and inner side of the lower leg, tucked into a narrow channel of soft tissue behind the shin bone, not as exposed as the peroneal nerve on the outer thigh. You can't throw a round kick and hope to catch it. But in close quarters, when the lower legs are the only targets available, this nerve becomes a real weapon. A knee driven into the inner shin, a sharp stomp angled behind the tibia, a deliberate downward grind with the heel. When the force slips into that soft channel beside the bone and catches the nerve, the leg flinches inward, withdrawal reflex. The body pulling the limb away from what it reads as a deep, sharp threat. Balance shifts, the foot loses its anchor. For a moment, the entire base is compromised. The problem is bone. The tibia is right there. Hit it directly, and all you've done is caused a bruise. No reflex, no buckle, no disruption. The nerve hides behind the bone, not on it. You have to angle the force into the groove, not slam the front of the shin. It's subtle, but in a close-range scramble, subtle is the only option. A brief loss of base in tight space creates more opportunity than a wild punch that never lands. The person stumbles, weight shifts. For half a second, they're not planted, and half a second is enough. Number 7, brachial plexus. This is the big one. Not the most precise, not the easiest to find, the most devastating when it connects. The brachial plexus is a dense nerve bundle packed into the pocket between the side of the neck, the collarbone, and the front of the shoulder. Every signal to grip, push, or pull, it all passes through this one bottleneck. Pinch that bottleneck hard enough, and the entire arm goes dark. When a clean, heavy impact lands in that pocket, a downward forearm smash, a ridge hand above the collarbone, a palm heel into the soft triangle, the arm dies. Temporarily, shoulder drops, hand opens. The whole limb becomes dead weight, just hanging there. Dead. The sensation is a deep stinger that floods from the neck down to the fingertips. Some people describe it as their arm disappearing, still attached, but no longer theirs. But here's the trade-off. The brachial plexus sits deeper than every other point on this list. Surrounded by the trapezius, the deltoid, layers of connective tissue, light strikes, finger pokes, knuckle digs. None of that works here. This is the one point that demands real force, not technique alone, force. And even with force, there's unpredictability. Slightly off target, and you catch muscle instead of nerve. The person absorbs it, keeps moving, doesn't even flinch. There's an element of luck here that doesn't exist with smaller, more exposed targets. But when the angle is right and the force is sufficient, the shutdown is one of the fastest in the human body. An arm that was fighting a second ago is now just hanging at the side, useless. And a fighter with one working arm is a fighter running out of options fast. Every one of these points has been tested. Not in a lab, not on a dummy, in cages, in rings, in situations where someone was trying to cause real damage to someone else. They work not because of some ancient secret. They work because nerves run through predictable places, and the human body responds to pressure in predictable ways. No amount of adrenaline overrides a nerve that's been compressed against bone. No amount of willpower keeps a hand closed when the signal cuts out. The body doesn't care how tough someone thinks they are. It follows the wiring. 7 nerves, hidden in plain sight. Same rule for all of them. Miss the spot. Nothing. Hit it clean. The body turns against itself. Anatomy doesn't negotiate.